recording.
Okay, I just want to say good evening, everyone. And again, I'm very, very impressed by how Angela and the team organize these meetings, which are so imperative and so important for the community of Southall. And it's an honor to be part of your community and help you as well and be here. I'm just somewhat shocked to find that our elected representatives from Ealing Council are not as enthused as they should be and are not engaging as they've always promised they would be. And especially since we've had a new leader of the council who talks about transparency and openness and engagement. And it's quite shocking that for such an important group, Angela has to chase up every single councillor to take part. And today is a great example of how they are totally ignoring the residents of Southall. That's all I have to say, really. I feel your pain. I feel it's not anger, it's just pity on these so-called councillors. I think we've gone beyond anger. There is no anger here. It's just pity that they treat other human beings in such a disrespectful way. And that's all I have to say, really.
See, the question I'd like to ask you, please, why do you think we're getting a raw deal?
I think it's down to all I can think about is they've been like this for many, many years towards the people of Southall. They are complacent about how they perceive BAM and challenged communities, challenged by health or challenged by income communities. And there's a serious disconnect between democracy, as it should be, and what they're delivering. And it's truly shocking that they're not engaging. I think it's just down to the fact that there's no respect. There is absolutely no respect there. The fact that we have a major scandal, as you guys have known for years, and as I've got involved, I've known in the last 6 months, there is a major scandal here, and it just seems to be they don't want to engage. I mean, the engagement is very limited. It's very reactive, as Angela and I have discovered just recently with Barclay Group and their one of their directors. We've seen this recently. Peter Mason has now engaged with them, but that's a reactionary move to cover up the fact that he hasn't engaged before. So I think, you know, Cash as a group is now at a pivotal point where the council don't know what to do anymore now. And their response is not to engage. That's quite obvious, because we know, as we know, there are 15 councillors who make up the Southall wards. Not one single councillor could turn up even for 5 minutes. Not even your own councillor, you know, Councillor Mason, could spend 5 minutes tonight.
Their excuse is there's a meeting, council meeting apparently today.
Okay.
That's what they're saying. We have no evidence.
But I've just checked their website. There's a meeting tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
No, there's
Game
no
on
meeting
all of them,
today.
then, isn't it?
Yeah, typical. And even if there was a meeting on tonight, Councillor Mason talks about, you know, his team, my team, my workers, my whatever. Surely there's officers who could come along. And as we know, Angela, they're recruiting for more and more staff.
Yes.
So there are plenty of staff there already who could turn up and join in and represent themselves. But clearly, for whatever reason, they didn't want to turn up tonight. And we don't want to put 2 and 2 together, but we have no option. The 2 and 2 together means they they didn't want to engage because they know they've been found out. They know it's public now that they've let down Southall. They are now trying to enter crisis PR. They're trying to do remediation work themselves. I mean, forget about Berkeley doing remediation work within the toxic area. Councillor Mason is now trying to do remedial work himself. And there's too much nastiness going on here, really. It's evident.
Thank you. Angela?
Yeah, I just, want to say that this morning there were a number of emails received into the cash email box from quite a few councillors giving their apologies, saying that they were attending a council meeting tonight. I don't know whether it's one council meeting that they're all attending or different council meetings, simultaneously. I have to say, I am surprised by the number that turned up for the walkabout on the 8th of June. And in response to Leslie, I think they are doing that because as a campaign, we have really stepped it up, particularly using social media as our friend, our opportunity to get our narrative out there. And obviously, we are factual in whatever we share. It's what they haven't done. And whatever letters that we send to Peter Mason, we share. Likewise, of letters to the MP, Verinda Sharma, and Onka Sahota. So we are transparent. And, if we get replies, we publish those replies. So we let the public decide on what they think about how we are being treated by the council. Now, what was interesting on the walkabout, and it was quite a revelation, they actually experienced the odour for themselves. And some of them, it wasn't the first time. And Councillor Chauhan and Councillor Dudwell said they held a meeting somewhere near the Broadway last year, and they had to move away because the stench was so potent, it disrupted the meeting that they were holding. I guess in a way, unsurprisingly, Peter Mason didn't smell the odour, but it was confirmed in comments made by the people who stood around him. Now, I'm inclined to say the same as a member of the public who said, you just need to take enforcement action. Everything else you are doing are, delayed tactics, are unhelpful. And I would say fundamentally attempts to kick this issue into the long grass and to continue in the same vein as Peter Mason's predecessor, Julian Bell, and his stance was to do nothing. Now, I don't understand why the council cannot issue an abatement notice. We have been suffering since 2016 noxious odours within our homes and the surrounding environment. Various residents have called the council, response officers have attended, they've witnessed the odour for themselves, they've driven around the area, they've identified that more than likely it's coming from the gasworks, not from FM Conway. And the council are finding reasons not to take legal action. And I find it really distressing that the advice given to the council back in 2019 was that they could take legal action, win or lose. So to my mind, commissioning more legal advice is just another delay tactic, because I don't see really how it will be any different to the advice already given.
I appreciate it. Amric, you had your hand up, Amric.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I sent Peter a text message just now because on the website it says all council meetings are on YouTube, so you can actually watch them. So I've asked him, I said, if there's a meeting on tonight, I can't find any reference to it anywhere. Please send me a link if there is a meeting tonight. Let's see if he replies. He's read the message. He has read the message.
Excuse me. Now, I understand what you're saying, Angela. didn't we on the 8th understand what the actual facts, the truth is? It's all about the £12 million, isn't it? London Borough of Ealing are going to receive index-linked £12 million from Berkeley Group. We don't matter. The money matters more. The sort of weekend I'll have, I'll explain. I've had phone calls from the Labour Party. So far as I'm concerned, what's happening here in Southall at the moment is the whip's at work. He's putting them into line, basically, pulling them into line. And this is what's going on in Southall. I had to be reminded that I'm a member of the Labour Party, and I'm supposed to be the second in charge to the I don't know what they call themselves, on the Broadway ward. Now, I had to be reminded this because I'd forgotten that I held a position in the Labour Party. But deep down, I think they're fearing the fact of a new party starting up in Southall. That's what I was getting from the telephone conversations that I was having over the weekend. Go ahead, Leslie.
Yeah, I think totally with you there, Joe. I think we've noticed over the past 3-4 months, since we've been discussing our concerns that the council do not represent us, whether it's in Southall, Acton, Greenford, Northolt, Perryville, you name it, or even Ealing itself, the council do not represent the average person. You know, whether that person's a poor person or whether that person's a very rich person, the council are not representing us anymore. And we know for a fact now that they see there's a growth of concern about this through setting up a political party, which we've discussed being Ealing Independence. This is something that I've been working on now for the past 6 months. Publicly, in the last 3 months, we know the council, and we know Peter Mason personally sees us already as a political party. He's used those words, political party, even though we're not yet registered. It takes time to register a party. Our focus at the moment is talking to the public and making sure we have the right manifesto for everyone. So yes, for those who are new tonight, we will be challenging Ealing Labour, in fact, Ealing Conservatives, Ealing Liberal Democrats. We will be challenging them in May 2022 across various wards. As this is a Southall meeting, of course, we are challenging all 15 seats across those 5 wards. And it's an exciting time for us. It's an exciting time for anyone who wants to be involved, because, you know, we're not political people. We're just average, you know, I'll use average Joes, you know, Joe, aren't we? We're just average people, you know, from different backgrounds. And we're just fed up. And we want to have a council now that represents us. We want to have people in Southall who represent Southall, not people who are out of touch, not people who are having businesses set up and managed because they're councillors. I mean, there's so much, you know, I don't want to use the words, you know, others may use, and that's not fair, but we want real councillors who care about the people. We want councillors who can stand up, who can protect people, who can represent them. And we're not getting that from the current Labour, and we're not getting it from the Lib Dems or anyone else. And people say, you know, what can we do? Well, the answer, what we can do is we can give them a run for their money by setting up a party. And that's what's happening. And anybody who wants to get involved tonight, you know, please speak to Joe or Angela or myself, send us a message. It's all public. We're at ealingindependence.com. That's ealingindependence.com. You can visit us on Twitter through Cash's Twitter site. And we're not going away. You know, for us, you know, as you guys at Cash, you've been in it for the long term, you know, and nothing, as sadly as you've seen, doesn't change overnight. We know this is not going to change overnight. You know, we're here for the long term, and we will be challenging Ealing Labour every day. We challenge them 4, 5, 6 times a day, and nothing will stop us from doing this.
Thank you. Sufyan, do you want to open up Yusuf, please?
Actually,
Yusuf, good evening to you. How are you
good
doing?
evening, everyone, and welcome. Some of your faces I know. Abdul, I think Angela, I meet her. Some of your faces.
Yusuf, how do you feel about what the sort of representatives that we have in Southall?
That's why we are
Somali
suffering.
community feel?
Listen, the main problem is with us, not the politicians, in my view. We have all our councillors. There's no way you can meet them. They don't answer the phone. Some of them, when you see that one, that is total misrepresentation, because these people are there for the people. We have this pandemic, we have housing issues. If you go to the council site recently, all the problems are there. If you talk to them, they will say we are doing much, we are doing this. They can't miss what to say, the way you say most of you. But action is better than words. So I think that what we are saying tonight is something that will give them, enlightenment that, okay, if you represent people, represent. I'm surprised. Last election, we have voted for younger people. We took these issues before. And then last election, we supported very young people in Southall, and hoping that they will bring something back. And then they will act on behalf of the common people, the average person, as opposed to seasonal councillors. We know them for a long time in town hall. So if they're not bringing changes that were required by the resident, and then they have to know this trying difficult time, people need more services. People are feared. People are in despair. People are very emotional. So this is the time. We don't have enough facilities where we can meet everywhere. You talk now, they say, come out, meet people. They can't come out. How many years we don't know the older people will be comfortable to come out of their 4 walls and be in the community. So it's very, very difficult for the community. We need promises to come out and meet. The council will say we don't have promises. If you say what can we do, there's no solution. So I think we have an organization. This organization, we are saying we can, if we have enough people, and especially we need to engage with the ethnic minority in Southall. If we can, actually that target is very nice. If we can only test 15 seats in Southall and we target them, and if especially the black people, they can come out. Because I'm talking to Angela now in this place, because Somali don't want to contest. I don't know, black people, they don't want to contest. All the problems are there. And then we are also contributing to the community, because this pandemic, the key workers, how the ethnic minority has contributed. The whole country appreciated the service. That is what we want to see on the representation as well. Black people there, Asian there, every community in Southall there. But some communities are there, some communities, this equilibrium, when are we going to fill up? Because some people will always talk for the people. That you cannot get to the right place. Like here, we have some people who clearly know the problem. They may have the solution, but they cannot reach to the ladder where they can really work and can deliver. So especially, the African black people in Southall need to come out, and we need to come out. And the Somali people, I come from Somali people, it will take time to convince them to contest. I know Joe can witness me. Last election, we tried 6 of them, and it was very difficult for us. But we give them a trial, and then that was, we got some changes, but still we have to go until we get some councillors, real councillors, who can speak about these issues and the real knowledge. If the real experience goes to where the decision will be made is better for all of us. So I'm not saying this and this, but we know you have some representation from Ealing Council, but Abdullah only with Somali. I know Abdullah now is very old. He relocated the other time. The mayor, he also called me to say we need to see more communities in next election. And then when I went back to him, and then he said maybe all the Labour, you know, they did their candidate already, so there's nowhere we can fix. So if you have an alternative, an independent party, I think that is we have a chance.
You see, what it is, the Labour Party have got everything sorted well in advance.
Yeah, I heard like that. Abdullah told me.
I remember when we sent somebody from the Broadway ward and they were just wasting their time.
Yes, exactly.
5 minutes they were in Acton and they were told, you know, we'll let you know, thank you. So they'd already pre-planned who they're going to choose.
Long time, yes.
Now, they chose somebody who never came to a council meeting. In my 10, 12 years, or 15 years going to ward forums, I never saw this person in the meeting, and they chose that person. So it just goes to show it's all a fix. And Amrik, this is where I have to disagree with you. If you think you can change the Labour Party from within, we have to live for about 200 years, I'm afraid, my friend. I've been trying. I've been a member.
Very different.
I've been a member of the Labour Party for many years. Maybe I think, Angela and everybody else, I think if the councillors won't come to us, we will wake them up on a Saturday morning. That's what I suggest. That at the end of the day, they're public servants. They're no VIPs. They might be suggesting themselves that they're VIPs every time they run to India. But far as I'm concerned, they're public servants. And if you can't handle the heat in the kitchen, I suggest you leave the kitchen, because we will be standing outside and knocking your doors when we feel like it. No, we will not warn that we're coming, but we will come and wake you up and your neighbors, because we want them to hear what we have to say. Sufyan, who would like to say anything? I suggest, Sufyan, open everybody up. It doesn't matter. Everybody's gentle here. They can kindly put their hand up and everybody can have their say. Sorry?
To speak, can unmute themselves. So if anyone wants to speak.
Yeah, just unmute everybody and we can have a conversation, because this is not what happens in their meetings. You see, they lock everybody out.
Yeah, let me just unmute. Ask everyone.
Please have your say. That's what I suggest.
No,
have your say.
Joe, you're 100% right. I've tried, when I was in the unions, I did a lot of work for the unions, for the RMT. And, you know, I stood up for them a lot of the times. But even there, all the doors are closed because they already know who they want at the top. So many years ago, I started with the RMT, this Black and ethnic minority group. I was one of the founder members. And I said to them, look, there's, you know, the majority of people who work on the underground, 60% are Black ethnic minorities, you know, they're not white. And in those days, it was 60, 70%. We were all underpaid and stuff. We didn't make an awful lot of money, but we enjoyed our job. And I said, why haven't we got a member on the executive committee? There are 13 positions, 2 for London Underground. Everyone was white. So I challenged them. We put it up as a motion, got it through everything, got it right to the end where they voted on it. They accepted that we should have a Black and ethnic minority member on the London Underground seat, one of them, and it should be done as soon as possible. As soon as they brought that out, they made cutbacks. They cut one seat. Which seat? London Underground. So I know how all this works and the tricks they play and everything else they do. You know, and I do get fed up. I'm fed up with the Labour Party in Southall because they're all backhanders. They've been doing it for years and years and years. They've all been, you know, I've got enough proof with Mr. Sharma.
That's the reality.
I know how corrupt he is.
Yeah.
I know where his money's coming from. I know where his money's going. I know he's corrupt. But I can't show where I've got the information from. That's the only problem. But no, Leslie, I think this independent councillors, we need to start before the end of this year, or maybe in the in the next month or so.
Totally
Try and
agree.
get-
Yeah.
And we've got Youssef here, which is good, but you need a complete diversity.
Yeah.
If we're going to go as independents, because we're going to be having to go to the shops, people we know, and we say to them, please put our posters up.
Yeah.
Don't Labour's up.
Yeah.
Anybody else's, just put ours up. And if Labour come to you, please turn them away. We can do it. Joe, you're well known in Southall. I know quite a few people in Southall now who owns the shops, and friends of friends and stuff like that. So we can do it, even if you get one councillor in.
That's all we want. We want to. The
Yeah.
key thing here at the moment, I've been following, like Joe and all you've been following around the country. Labour, Conservative, Lib Dems, they don't represent people. The councillors, all they care about is their own political careers or their business careers. We've seen, and I've seen across the UK, lots of independent councils set up on the basis of it's not about politics, it's not about governments, it's about people. And as Yusuf said, there's some fantastic Somali people, young people as well, who want to get involved, who want to make a difference, and they're not represented by the Labour Party. There's Asians who aren't represented by any of the parties. There's Chinese people. We got a fantastic diverse range of people, disabled people who are discriminated against by the political parties. So we have an opportunity, a once in a lifetime opportunity, to build within Ealing, whether it's from Acton to Southall and everything in between, a grassroots movement that's focused on the people. As Joe says, we cannot keep on chasing up these councillors. These councillors are costing us time and money and stress, that we're better off doing things ourselves. What experience had Mr. Sharma ever had of being an MP? What experience has Mr. Mason ever had of leading an organisation? What experience have any of them? They've had less experience than we have, and we live here. We live in Ealing, either all our lives, or we emigrated Ealing specifically, because we're passionate about Ealing. We love Ealing. We love Ealing out of the nature of our hearts, not out of politics. And Amrik, you say, yeah, we can. The idea is we will set up the party within the next 2 to 3 months. We're talking at the moment to a number of other independent councils that have been set up in the last couple of years. So we're learning from them. And the whole point is everything we do is going to be open and transparent, like these meetings are, so there's nothing hidden. If people want to hear how we're setting up the party, we're going to have open meetings. We're going to show everything good we're doing. We're going to show any mistakes we make, because we will make some mistakes along the way, but it's not about cover-ups. We're fed up of these cover-ups within the council. We're fed up with the way in which they've taken our money, and not shown us anything for that. And we want to change that. And we want to give the people of Southall, a real voice, a true voice, that if you want to contact independent councillors, you can reach us by Twitter. You can reach us by the telephone. You can send us a letter. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, any color, whether you're male or female, whether you're any type of person, all we care about is making Southall better for everybody, and making Ealing better for everybody, and actually enjoying life. People, as Yusuf said, it's miserable out there for people at the moment. It's nasty living around at the moment. There's no joy. And whilst we've got COVID, which is horrible and nasty, there's still lots of good stuff we can be talking about without getting political. We want to work with everybody in the community. And that's the important thing. And we want to also give our young people something to be proud of. We want to engage them properly and not talk down to them. We want to bring them up, and we want to give them lives worth living.
I personally think that the Labour Party in Southall, I'm speaking about our councillors, they're in panic mode. It's hit them hard. because one of the main people, Councillor Ranjit Dare, who tried it on with us on the walk, Angela, when he turned around and used a word, and correct me if I'm wrong, did he say, Mr. Bangu, I'm frightened of you, or did he say, Mr. Bangu, I'm scared of you?
Sorry, Joe, I can't confirm what you
Okay.
said.
Okay. Well, this is my message to Councillor Ranjit Dare. You should be scared and frightened, for the simple fact is, righteous will win at the end of the day. You fooled us for the last 40 odd years, and we ain't going to take this lying down no more. We have awoken, and it's time for you guys to start running, because you've had it so good for so long. Tables turn. Perhaps now you realize the silence. This is what this is all about. The silence of the Labour Party itself in Southall is they know they're wrong, and we've caught them out, and we've caught them out not once, we've caught them out time and time after again. But these guys, they do not seem to understand. They think that we're going to back off, we're going to back off, we're going to back off. They're mistaken, very much so. So we will be coming knocking on your doors, and you're our public servants, you know. You work for us, we don't work for you. And that's the mistake you guys are making. So
Joe,
if you think you're going to get away with it, you're not.
Joe,
Yeah, go on.
personally, I think they won't change. They're too set in their ways. They've been used to treating the community with disrespect for many, many years. And I still see that even today on the walkabout, some of the body language, some of the facial expressions, the phone checking, all amounted to disrespect. Now, in the early days of Cash, I went knocking on doors on my street. I bumped into a lovely Muslim neighbour, and he said, I used to make appointments for the councillors to see me at home, and they never turned up, never cancelled, never offered apologies. And he was left feeling, I'm being treated like this because I am a Muslim and I'm not Sikh. As far as I'm concerned, a councillor should be representing everybody, regardless of their race, religion, and creed. It should make no difference, that their role is public service for all. But I honestly think with this current cohort of political representatives, they are so entrenched in the fact that Labour is safe in Southall, that they don't have to really do anything. They can treat us with disdain because they're on some kind of pedestal. The only change is going to come from challenge. So I am really inspired by the prospect of independent candidates standing in Southall, regardless of whether anybody is elected or not. It's sending out a very clear message to Labour that not all of your constituents are happy with the way that you are representing us. I look around Southall now and I see all these high rises going up. I don't know how anybody else feels, but it breaks my heart that wherever there's a spare bit of land, there's going to be a high rise on it. And I don't know if anybody else had this experience, but getting from Old Southall to meet you guys on Beaconsfield Road for the walkabout, it took me about 45 minutes because the amount of traffic from Southall Green and then along South Road. And that is, to me, just totally ridiculous in my hometown to get from one part of the town to another. But I think really we have to show, you know, whoever is standing as an independent, that we are different. We will actually effect meaningful change that is actually going to improve the lives of residents. But just, you know, sanctioning all these high rises, you know, is a real threat to the health and well-being of the citizens of Southall. Now, the other day I drove past, there's a basketball court on Spencer Street, and it looks like in a complete state of disrepair. The fence has a massive hole, it's rusty, the ground looks very gravelly. And how can this be acceptable? Is it because we are poor people from ethnic minorities that the council doesn't want to invest in our leisure facilities? And in actual fact, what I'll do, I'll go down there with my kids because we want to play basketball, and I'll take some footage and put it on Twitter. Now, going back to local councillors, I can remember a couple of winters ago, I turned up to see them at their constituency surgery, and not one of them turned up. We have 3 councillors for Southall Green Ward. None of them turned up, and no explanations. And I think, you know, that's really unacceptable. We know Peter Mason doesn't do Friday evening surgeries because he observes Shabbat. And I've said, well, why not change it to an alternative day? You know, that seems quite reasonable. You know, there are 7 days in the week, find an alternative day. Now, what I sense is that these councillors really are looking after their own interests. And Leslie has asked them time and time again, in particular, Peter Mason, name 10 things you have done for your ward. He hasn't even named one. I don't know what he does in Southall Green. His predecessor, Councillor Kang, I used to see around and about in the local area. And we also served on a children's centre governing body together. And he actually asked questions that showed that he really cared about young children and their development. And I had the utmost respect for him. But as for Peter Mason, even Jasper Anand and Councillor Dinser, I have no idea what they do within the community. And what I would have to say about Peter of recent in the pandemic, it seemed to be a good opportunity for photo ops. And it's about public relations, not actually rolling up his sleeves and getting involved. I was actually quite jealous to hear of a councillor in Hayes, and she said she was walking along and somebody jumped out of their car to actually say, thank you for helping my daughter. You know, she really made a difference. And I felt envious that they've got that calibre of a councillor in Hayes, and we have nobody like that in Southall.
But then if you look at Southall, the way Peter Mason has got himself covered with his new cabinet, I mean, we've got a councillor on the Broadway, she never shows her face. I haven't seen her face for ages and ages. Doesn't come to any meetings, and yet she's in the cabinet. So when you got incompetent people around you, Mr. Peter Mason, you definitely are going to lose your seat in the Green, and you're no longer going to be the leader of the Ealing Labour Group. For the simple fact is, you're surrounded by incompetent people. And when you do that, then you lose seats. That's what happens. Somebody else, Sofian?
Yeah, can I just say a quick thing? Sorry.
Sure, you can.
You mentioned obviously your neighbour who felt discriminated, well, not discriminated, was it discriminated against? So that actually goes against the Equality Act of 2010. Yeah. Now, I didn't study law, but I did learn a bit of law when I was in year 11. Just because I was on work experience at a law firm in East London. Now, I mean, look, whether you're black, brown, or blue, yeah, if you need help from a public serving officer, i.e. a councillor, they've got a duty, because it should be written in their contracts that they have a duty to answer to every need of their constituents in their ward. Yep. So they should be coming to us and saying, right, what do we need? not how can I turn this away or
Mm.
how we can put you down. Because at the end of the day, me as a 19-year-old, I felt from the age of 16 since I've been doing campaign work, actually 15, since the age of 15 really, whether it came to Southall Town Hall, SR 40, whatever it was, whenever we used to approach the council for various other projects I've done, I always used to get turned away. But then when an older person in the team would reach out, they used to hear a response. So that's where I said to my family that, well, I think it's my age. And that's when my aunt told me, well, if it is your age, well, that's actually against the law to do, because we are still residents. I still pay tax in this country. I'm still as much the human as any other person. Yep. Whether you live here or not, you have a voice, and we are going to use that voice. It's freedom of speech at the end of the day. We can say what the hell we like in the most polite way as possible, but we will speak our truth. And that's what we do. Whether we do it on Twitter, whether we do it on Facebook, whether we do it on Instagram, or whether we do it in person, well, not in person, but on Zoom like we're doing now. Whichever way we want to portray our voice, we can do, and they need to answer to us. Because I've noticed with like Leslie, your tweets, I've never seen Peter Mason hardly reply. Even with Angela, saying like you, I've been reading all the tweets. He hardly replies now, or he never replies. And that just shows me that he does not care. And he was the one in lockdown saying, well, I'm a digital engagement officer or something like that. Now, mate, we asked you to meet on Zoom. Oh, I don't do Zoom. Well, sorry, mate, it's the 21st century. We don't want to meet up with you because it's COVID-19. Yeah, I'm not risking my health. I'm not risking my family's health. If you want to risk your health and your family's health, that's on you, mate. But I could not live with myself if something happened to my grandfather or my grandmother and I brought it into the house. Yep. Even now, even though I've had both the vaccines, I'm still cautious on where I go. I was away for work last week and I felt so on edge. I was taking a COVID test every day. So that's what I mean. I mean, our councillors simply do not care. And that's why, obviously, I did say, I am stepping forward. And Leslie, you've got my full support on this. We are going to step forward as independent. And even though I might not get the votes, at least I've played my bit.
Yeah.
You will win. You will win.
You
will win because the Labour Party themselves and these incompetent politicians in Southall have done it to themselves. As I said to Mr. Sharma on the 8th, if and when the party gets started in Southall, I actually feel sad for these councillors. When they're going to go door knocking, they're going to have some serious issues. And I'm waiting for that day to come very soon. Because
sorry, Joe.
If you think, I mean, look, last month we were discussing, Leslie, there's one councillor in Southall. She's been in the cabinet for 16 years. What is so special about her? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
What am I not, what can't I see? What am I missing?
Yeah.
Can anybody help me, please?
That's the point, Joe and Sufyan. The fact is, we have councillors who are councillors because they belong to political parties. As Joe explained, in order to be considered to be the councillor, they choose or they select amongst 4 or 5 people for each seat. They know who they want. If you as a potential candidate don't toe the party line, you won't be selected. You won't even be allowed to be voted for to be a councillor for that party. That's disgusting. That's why people are fed up with having local councillors who belong to political parties, because the loyalty is to the party, not to the people. The loyalty is to the party because the party can kick them out. And that's why we need to take back control and make it in Southall and across the rest of Ealing independent people who represent the people, not the party.
I I'd like to say something with that. In Northolt, we've tried to engage both Miriam Rice and also the new council leader, and they're hopeless with us. They won't attend our HS2 meeting. And then recently we've had some sort of an uphill struggle with them, and health and safety in, not health, pollution people, Surrey, turned up on site wanting to meet the residents, because the residents are now saying, you know what, don't knock on our door to come and try and engage us when you can't even be bothered to attend our Zoom meetings about the problems we're having.
COVID-19, they're
Nita,
afraid.
You're spot on. You're spot on, Nita, because the fact is they don't really care about you. All they care about is keeping their party elected. They care about their allowances, and they get paid well. They get paid a minimum just under £10,000. Yeah,
I know.
It's crazy. And with all that becomes, I mean, it's just not very nice. The fact is, they should see you. Miriam should be calling you up every week saying, how can I help you? That's why as independents, you know, one of our pledges is we will call up people. People can call us. You know, nothing. We're not governed by a political framework.
So Leslie, what we're doing is we've got so many problems with HS2, and while we were having this meeting with residents at the back of our footpath over a building that they're bringing down and putting a temporary building up, it was passed through Ealing Council as though it gone out of fashion within 2 weeks.
Yep.
And now they're saying it's a temporary building and we can do a 2-story building. While we're having this meeting with Suri from pollution, the guy who's centre of taking all our questions, who couldn't even put in a vibration meter, he's telling me there's one there. So I said, show me the data.
Yeah.
Show me the data, but you wouldn't understand it, he said. So I said, no, show me the data.
Patronising. No, it's patronising. The fact is, well, realistically, you know more than they know. And the fact is, it's the people who should now be telling the council. And if we are elected, which we hope we are, okay, then the people will be engaged throughout. It's just ridiculous now. And, you know, we see so much wastage.
How would it work within wards? Because I come under Northolt.
Yeah.
And on Carr Road, we've got quite a lot of residents that are literally fed up.
No, Northolt. I mean, I'm saying we're going to be targeting every part of Ealing, from Acton to Southall, Northolt, Greenford. Okay, so what we want is we want engaged people in all areas. So Northolt is very important to us. You know, we see so much going on in Northolt that's great concern. Like recently, you had in Northolt off the A40, you have that tall area with lots of noise going on.
Yeah.
And the council's doing nothing about that noise. It's quite shocking. So we would want to engage with you. In fact, we don't want to engage with you. We want you to engage yourself. You know, you have the power, Nita, you know, to actually manage Northolt yourself without involving politicians, without involving anybody else.
I know. I've done that. I've done that with HS2. I mean, I've got residents that are 80, 90 years old who don't have access to email, who don't know about IT. I'll hold the meetings in my garden, put the chairs out under COVID, and I'll say to them, look, come and attend these meetings, because if we don't stand up, they're going to do what they want with us.
Yep, and they have done. That's the sad thing about it. So in your area of Northolt, is James Murray your MP as well for that?
Yes, he is.
Okay, and again,
David Merriam, and he actually came knocking. This was quite ironic. Just before the election, 2 weeks before the election, he knocked on all our doors, and most of the residents said, "Where were you in our Zoom meeting when we invited you?" Because I physically copy everyone in.
Yeah.
God and his son gets copied in, including all the residents.
Yeah.
And I've learned that. I was a bit scared to do that before, but now I think, what can they do?
You're empowered. What can they do? You pay your council tax, okay? Yeah. They're accountable to you. There's nothing they can do. As long as we avoid, you know, saying nasty things that are not true. But sadly, everything we say is true.
I've got evidence. the good thing is I come from a background where a lot of it is evidence-based.
Yeah.
So I'll send out the emails that Miriam sends to me to all the residents, including herself and James Murray. And I think that, you know, people need to know what you're saying and what you're doing or not doing in this case.
Yep, which is what Angela does as well. And here's the irony about James Murray, who's your local MP. James Murray was the Deputy Mayor for Housing, who was photographed and who welcomed Southall Gasworks. He's photographed smiling with Julian Bell. He's photographed smiling with the former founder of Barclay Group. Okay, you know, well, James Murray has ownership of what's happened to Southall Gasworks, and he's also accountable.
Well, he's also, we found out since that he's playing hand in hand with HS2 with the Acton building, the rebuild of Acton, the biggest project of housing development. And I think, how can you do that? How can you work with HS2? And you come to our meetings and you want to try and, you know, be two-faced about it.
Exactly. And that's why we want to engage with you. And I think, you know, we need to have representation in Northolt, you know, with Joe and team, you know, Southall, Northolt, Greenford, all these areas over the next 6 to 8 months, you know, are on our radar. And we need Northolt, and we need people to stand, young people. We need old people to stand. The fact is, we're building a movement here. That's the important thing. It's not just about 2022 May elections. It's about 2026. And we have to start now. And it's going to take time. We may get 1 councillor. We may get 10. Who knows? The important thing is, as Joe says, we're about sending a message. And the message is, these councillors do not represent us. If they claim they represent us, if they make us promises now, these are all fake promises. These are all lies, because they've had 40 years in Southall. They've had 40 years everywhere else to do something, and they've lied. So now it's time to give them what they deserve, which is to be taken away from their roles and to have directly electable young people. To have also, we think we should have a directly electable mayor. The mayor is chosen by the council who got elected.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
I mean, I remember Ealing was such a prominent area to live in. I mean, I didn't live in Ealing before. I lived in Hillingdon, and I worked in Ealing, but Ealing has changed so much, and it's even the services are not there. It's appalling how it's run.
Yeah,
it really is.
It's run because the council don't care, the councillors don't care, and the fact is that's how it is. And the people who should be running it are the people who are living here. Yes, the councillors may be living here, but all their energy and all their interest is on their national party. And it doesn't matter if it's Labour, doesn't matter if it's Conservative, doesn't matter if it's Liberal Democrats, okay? They all have the same issue. They're trying to build a national political party, and it doesn't work anymore now.
No, it
doesn't work anymore.
I mean,
you know,
we actually turned around and I challenged James and I said, okay, you know, we've had enough of this and we want you to go to the Transport Minister and ask him about the HS2 bill. These are the questions. And I sent him 20 something odd questions. I'm still waiting. A month later, I'm still waiting for him to respond.
That's not acceptable. And through the power of us all together in our different parts of Ealing, you know, I'm in Acton, okay? From all the parts of Ealing, we can then be a powerful force, not just to our councillors, but also to our MPs. Get our MPs scared. You know, that's the important thing. So whether it's Sharma, whether it's Hug, whether it's Murray, okay? The fact is, this has a domino ripple effect on this thing. You know, we're building a lot more. We're starting off on these foundations. You know, it's going to take time, but we can do it. The fact is, what you're doing, Rita, you know, Nita, what they had thought, these other councillors, they thought you would give up by now. You'd be fed up. You know, you'd be fed up. They work on the basis that they bore us to tears. They don't respond. They ignore us. As Sufyan said, they don't read out our Twitter accounts. They don't read our Facebook. We don't care. we're building up a whole movement. We're building up, when people search for these people, they see all the evidence.
Yeah.
So
well,
when it comes
we're
to,
actually having a meeting on Saturday. I'm having a meeting in my next door neighbour's garden, a resident meeting over some of the issues. And we know that the person representing us at SCS is useless. He's got no balls. Sorry if I use the wrong language. He's just got nothing. He can't represent us. And I've said to the residents, I think 2 of us should go there and represent ourselves with the council and all these other people, because they're just not he's just not putting our case forward.
Yeah.
Because it's the same question we asked from January.
Yeah,
and
no,
I'm sure you've got the same issues as what we have with HS2 in Acton.
Oh, it's horrendous. And no one's doing anything. And the problem is, we as the people, we accept these councillors and we accept the government to do things on our behalf, which they're not. You know, the people who work for them just work for them. They don't really care. So what you're doing, Nita, is very interesting, because it's a conversation we had as well. You know, whilst we may not be in power today, it doesn't mean we cannot act as if we are in power and actually say what we're going to do. So every time there's a situation, we say and we highlight, this is how we would do it. This is how we run it.
So what we've done, we've managed to engage them into the way they actually work, the hours they work on weekends and evenings, even to the extent, I mean, I've been in touch with Jota, who's from Hillingdon, who runs the Hillingdon group of just over 1,000 people. I said, we're not that big. I said, there's about 50 of us on this HS2 at the moment. It's getting bigger than what I thought it would be. But I said, when we get stuck, I'll come to you. And she's so happy to help and support us.
Good.
And I think Ealing needs to realise that there are so many of us that is affected by some of the things that they do and the way that they do it, because it's as if they don't care about us.
They don't. I've come to the conclusion now, you know, and like you, Nita, and like you, Joe, in the past, we would say things like, you know, it's like they don't care. We know they don't care. That's the whole point now. We know they don't now.
We have proof.
The proof is in the pudding.
And what we're trying to do also now is we're trying to unite different groups within Ealing. As you've noticed, when Peter Mason became the leader, he reached out to all these groups which were anti-Ealing Council, you know, the anti-LTN groups, the anti-Tower groups, okay? Now, a lot of those groups feel they have engagement with Peter Mason is going to lead to something. We know it's going to lead to nothing. And that's why these groups should not really be engaging with him by now. These groups, we don't need to engage with the council anymore. It's too late now.
So we are trying to engage with them, because Ealing Council, he has access to the council workers, where the council workers, I mean, one of the council workers came to our meeting in March. I think we bombarded him so much that he wouldn't turn up for any other meeting after that. And it's the same council, it's the same person who's turned up for the resident meeting. And again, we know he was forced to come and meet the residents because he was told by James and Miriam, get down there and see the residents. But we're not stopping there. I will write to him if I have to every day and copy everyone in and encourage everyone else to write to him.
Fantastic.
So that's how I'm doing it, and I'm getting people, and I've even done a document on HS2 complaints procedure and told people this is what you copy and paste, this is what you write in there, you put it as a complaint, and if you do it enough times, they've got to do something.
Yeah.
And Nia, just a quick question: do you have a social media page?
I don't.
Okay, what I suggest you do, because obviously like we do, is publish all your letters online in the public domain, so that way it puts more pressure on them.
So I've been doing, the only place where I publish some of them is on Nextdoor. Nextdoor
Neighbours. All right. I mean, if you need help with that, I can contact you after the meeting.
Yes, please, if you can. I haven't done that side of social media.
Not a problem. Yeah.
I've just about got a tweet account.
Councillor
I think you
Patel.
should invite Peter Mason to your meeting. And certainly what we can do for you, Nita, is in our tweets is mention your particular campaign and add to the pressure. Because Peter Mason, you know, he's reached out to the anti-LTN group, anti-towers.
Okay.
And, you know, why shouldn't he meet you? Okay. You know, it shouldn't make any difference that you're not on social media. You know, your group has real concerns about HS2, about how your lives have been impacted. And he, in his, you know, openness and transparency mantra, should be meeting you. Yeah. And, you know, you have to just, I know it's exhausting. You will know this, Nita, how many times you have to keep saying the same things over and over again, multiple emails, chasing people up. But certainly we will do what we can to show that we are allies of your campaign.
For us, there's two of us that really lead. The rest of the residents, yes, some of them are old, some of them are carers. They don't really have the time and the oomph to lead something like this. Myself and my neighbour Graham, we tend to run the meetings, and then I've got someone else who organises the Zoom in our meetings. But I do all the minutes, I do the after meeting briefing to everyone, and I copy everyone that was in the meeting. And then I'll also organise the resident meetings. Like we've got our next resident meeting on Sunday at 4:30, only because we've got our meeting with HS2 on the 12th of July. We know we're not going to get far with HS2. They're still going to bring down the building at the back of us. Our houses tremor every morning since October, and the sheet piling hasn't even gone in yet.
Are you have you linked up? Because I think there's a group in Acton who are complaining about HS2. Do you know about them, Leslie?
Wells Roads group. There's a group in Acton.
Okay.
It might be worthwhile trying to build an alliance with them.
Yeah, I'll send you the details after our meeting now, Nita.
Oh, perfect.
But again, it's about forming alliances, and we find, as Angela says, and as Sufyan says, you know, Twitter has been a really useful ally for us because we've collaborated with other groups in and around London. It's helped to amplify our voice. It's given us an outlet for our concerns, and historically, in years to come, when all this becomes investigated by whoever investigated, they can see we had all the evidence there, and they can see what the cover-up was, they can see what the corruption was, and that's why, you know, if we can help you publicize, we'll help you with that.
Okay. That would really help. I think not just me, but a lot of the other residents there's a lot of frustration. There are a lot of scared residents because they don't know where they're going. They're scared that I mean, they've only identified 5 houses on this road as at risk. And they're saying the others are not. And yet the other houses have got cracks in them.
That's
and
what we
they
have
won't
in
even,
Southall.
Ealing won't even put up a vibration meter to monitor. That's my frustration.
Because they don't want to gather proof.
Yeah.
They don't want to help you. The councilor's job is to work against the residents. Yeah. And the sooner we realize this and we wake up, the better it will be for us, because otherwise we're just wasting our own times. And I mean, I'm going to start calling you Councillor Patel because that's how confident. Somebody should write the time now, 20:07 on the 21st, that Joe actually called Mrs. or MS Patel, Councillor Patel.
You know what? This is all I'm going to say to you.
And that's how confident Joe was, because our councillors are so good in doing nothing that it's going to be an easy win for us.
Okay. I've got one other thing to declare. I did actually work for Ealing in grounds maintenance. Now I know the system, and I also was fortunate for a couple of months to work for strategy and planning, as well as the
Oh.
councillors department of where
Yeah.
the Conservative councillors were. So I know what it's all about. I know the crapness that comes out
Yeah.
from them. I've seen it. I've seen how they have a council meeting and the next morning at 8 o'clock, they're all in the council office trying to change the minutes of the meeting. I've seen it all.
Really? Yeah.
Gosh,
I've seen that.
It's
lies and
That reminds-
deceit.
That reminds me actually of a ward meeting I attended, and it was chaired by Peter Mason. To the agenda, he just went off piste quite quickly. And then I remember reading the minutes, which appear, I think, just before the next ward meeting. And I can tell you, most of it was a work of fiction.
Yeah.
Honestly, that bad, you know,
So,
that there are things that simply weren't discussed in that meeting, but they appeared in the minutes.
so when I used to do, because I used to do minutes of meetings, and I've got training for that, and it's streamlining them, and I do the agenda, and I actually send out an agenda to everyone before the meeting for my HS2, and I send out HS2 the agenda, and they try and say, well, we're not doing that, and I say, no, this is the agenda, you didn't submit anything, and it's our meeting, not your meeting.
Well done.
well
So,
done, Nita. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and
What
you
I've
have the
done-
passion, Nita. You have the ability, and the fact is, these councillors are doing nothing compared to what you're doing, and you
No.
deserve to be able to represent your local community. You know, you're
I'd
looking at
love
you.
to.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw Miriam one evening, she came on and she said, oh, I didn't realize your meeting was at 6 o'clock. Sorry, I'm late. And I said, well, I did send it out early enough. You know, that's just simple. And then James Murray came for 10 minutes, and before he was due to leave, I said, before you leave, I've got this and this and this
Yeah.
that I want to ask you. So of course, I know he had another meeting, but that wasn't my problem.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Nita, sorry, what I've done is I've sent my mobile number to you privately.
Oh,
Uh,
perfect.
Just want to give
Oh,
you,
is it on the? Okay,
it's
so
on the chat box.
let me just sorry, you'll see me with my glasses off now.
Yeah, so it's in the chat box. If you just want to give me a missed call or a text, I've got your number, and then I'll be in touch with you in due course.
Sorry, is it on this chat box?
Yeah, so if you click chat at the bottom, and then
Yeah, which I did.
it should be sent to you privately.
Is this the one? Oh yeah, I got it.
Yep.
Came up, it was underneath. I'll just do it now. Sorry.
Yep.
I've had my rant now.
No, it's great to hear that, because it's so important that we're able to express ourselves. We've been denied a voice. We've been denied so much from our council. And now, as Joe says, it's time for us to have our voice. And the only way we get our voice is to represent ourselves.
Hence the name of these meetings. Why aren't our voices being heard?
Yeah.
Well, we live here. You know, last time we had a councillor who was living in Oxford.
Yeah.
I can't work the Labour Party out. St. Bernard's is not far away.
It's very expensive to live now in St. Bernard's as well. Council Mason lives just around the corner from St. Bernard's.
Yeah.
I rest my case.
Can I just quickly raise a point that Yusuf was making? And I think this has really affected us as a campaign group. We have absolutely struggled, and this was obviously before, you know, the pandemic, to find a place that we could meet that was a reasonable cost. And, you know, we found that we couldn't really find anywhere. You know, we'd go to a restaurant, but then obviously you're in a situation where you have to patronize the local restaurant and buy food and drink. We used to meet in St. John's Church Hall, and that was really through an ex-member of CASH who arranged that. We had a few meetings at Southall Town Hall. But I think really what I'm trying to say is that Southall lacks a community centre that is non-secular. And by that, I mean, it's not of a particular religious denomination. We need a space where everybody can come together, regardless of their religious beliefs or no religious beliefs, their ethnic background, their cultural background, a space where we can come together, learn from one another, and really develop ourselves as a community. And
I know of a derelict place that we could apply, make an application to the grants, to the central grants, which is in Ealing. I know it was some sort of a scout hall or something, but it's in Northolt, at the back of Northolt, towards the right behind the park.
all right.
So I know that's not being used. The building's still up. I don't know who owns it or anything like that. And that's quite a good place to meet, because
What's the name of it?
No, I'll walk down there tomorrow and send it to you, because I think we could apply for a lottery grant or something under the communities banner.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would be something, you know, hopefully worth investigating. But we've been approached by a property developer that's going to be redeveloping, I think it used to be Barclays Bank in Southall Green. So it's near the roundabout as you're approaching Southall Station. And Joe, you're nodding your head saying no.
Wrong place to talk about it, I'm afraid.
Okay.
I personally think that we need it in Southall. Thank you, Councillor Patel, but we need something in Southall. We need something in Southall.
Okay.
We will, Angela, we will have that chat. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah,
because I just think, I found when we looked at the Dominion Centre, it was just prohibitively expensive.
Can we not use any of the Ealing halls?
Well, yeah, the Dominion Centre is an Ealing council.
No, but
facility.
like the Ealing Town Hall, the Greenford Hall.
You have to pay for those, Councillor Patel. You have to pay for those.
These are all very expensive. The way Ms. Patel is saying is good. Let her go. Let us see if that place is empty, then we can approach the council. I think that's the best option. Otherwise, we have to talk to Featherstone High School if they can allocate us a room in the evening or at the weekends. I don't know, free of charge or whether they.
Yeah, so I know the policy with Featherstone because I went there. So they don't rent out rooms on the weekdays. They only do it on weekends, for safeguarding reasons. Even during
no, but I'd be phoning the community's portfolio holder tomorrow and see, you know, what we can do, because I'm sure we're all ratepayers. How about some of the money coming back to the community, you know? Instead of churches and temples all the time, why can't we have a community centre? It's very simple, but perhaps the councillors are afraid of great minds coming together and something good may come out of it. So they like to keep us in our religion sects, you see. They say, you stay here, you stay here, you see. They don't want to see us have some freedom where we could put great minds together and come up with some good strategies, Leslie.
Yep.
Angela, that's what they're afraid of, okay? And they've got away with it for the last 40 years.
Yeah.
And that really makes me angry.
Yeah, and it's shocking that in Southall you don't have a community centre anymore. They sold off things, they got rid of things, centres. You had was it the town hall that got sold off, was being sold off, or was...
No, that's not sold off.
Yeah.
That's given to another. They call themselves Southall Community Alliance. They haven't allianced with us, have they?
Exactly.
They have with Berkeley Group.
Yeah.
They have with Ealing Council, but not with us, the people who live in Southall.
Yeah.
The lives that matter.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. It's all about money.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
You know.
I'm sure somewhere with central government, there must be some sort of allocation for funds for communities.
I'm sure there is, Councillor Patel, and perhaps for the next meeting you could do some searching for
Research.
us.
Okay, I'll do some research.
Because
Thank you.
also the other thing is any central government funding, often the government funding will be either matched or has to involve local government. Now, if the local government at Ealing isn't supporting us, we have got to hope and hell again that central government funding, and that's the big problem. The council will complain about how central government doesn't help them, so they can't help us. So we need to eradicate the current council and put our people there so we can actually ensure the funding coming from central government is properly distributed.
Unless, of course, we have a biscuit party and perhaps everybody will turn up to our biscuit party.
Yeah.
That's a thought.
Yeah.
Well, who's going to chip in? I mean, we've got to buy the biscuits.
Yeah.
I don't mind chipping in for the biscuits and the samosas.
Well, then the councillors might turn up.
Yeah.
Laddus will do it for council inside.
Yeah.
Bring
But
some.
I mean, it's really useful to know that other people feel the same way, that there is definitely a need to have a community centre in Southall that is open to everybody. And yeah, I think you're right, Joe. You know, it's a way of people meeting across different religions, different cultures and different races. And it suits the council to have us in our own sort of like communities, separate. And it's about divide and rule.
Divide and rule.
Yeah.
That's what they've been doing to us for the last 50 odd years. And they've been getting away with it. That's the sad part. You know, why?
Yeah.
Obviously, they're afraid. They're afraid for their seats, their VIP status, when they run to India to take the photographs that we've taken control of England. We're a success.
So, Councillor Joe.
I wouldn't mind, Councillor Patel, I wouldn't mind MP of Southall.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Mr. Angle.
Yes.
With your
Right Honourable Joe Bangu.
I've already got 15 councillors to stand in Southall.
Yeah, hello.
I haven't got anybody to stand as MP.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go then. You can go as MP. Just with your links with the business, is there no business side of it that we can use someone's hall?
We've done, like Angela said, we've done restaurants, and then the manager next week will get an earful from somebody around here. Then they will say to us, no, you can't do this here again. But don't worry, we're working on it. You know, I like to do my work undercover.
Okay.
You know, so we are working on something, and hopefully, with the grace of God, we will achieve something.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, don't you think it's appalling how we've been treated
It is
by our
appalling.
politicians? You know, and don't worry about the Labour Party losing. They've lost already. Everybody's moaning about the traffic in Southall. They can't fix that, Angela. They've done it.
Yeah, but isn't that because of the new guy that they've had in that role in Ealing? I'm just going back to 3 years or 4 years back. There was a new guy appointed in roads, highways and roads. I only know
Tony
that
Singh? Tony Singh?
No, not Tony Singh. I only know because he rejected my drop curb. And he'd hidden my form in his drawer for 8 months. And then I got the reply back saying, you fall 0.5 out of the 4 foot area that you need for the drop curb. And I'll find his name and I'll tell you, because he's changed the roads in Mandeville Road here. And we've got he's putting a roundabout dead in the middle of the road. So now all the traffic backs on all the way to the roundabout.
Yeah, but Councillor Patel, the reason why they do this, there's 2 reasons. First of all, your refusal, you didn't offer them a cup of tea or coffee with biscuits with it. That's number one.
I always do that.
Number two, number two is the private contractors who work for the council. If they don't get the work, then there's no money.
Okay.
So they come up with this daft. So they come up with these daft, stupid ideas.
No, this guy
to
was actually.
squander.
This guy is actually a senior person at Ealing Council who's responsible for the pavements and the roads.
Highways.
Basically, yeah, in highways. I mean, I know because highways used to work on the other side of me.
Sure.
So I know the highways. But it was someone at Percival House as part of Ealing, not as part of the contractor side, not as the DLO. I call them DLO because that was the other side. It was someone based at Percival House that was responsible whether you got the drop curb or not.
You got to be their friend. You got to have your counsellor ring them and say.
Oh, I went to my counsellor.
And didn't he help you?
No, he told me that he's done nothing wrong. So I went to the Disabilities Council
And
they said, we can't overturn their decision.
that's shameful.
But yeah, my next door neighbour's got a drop curb, exactly the same width.
So what's the difference, Councillor Patel, with you and them? What's the difference?
Because they applied before the new legislation came in. Because the guy at Ealing hid my form under the desk or something. He was new.
So you should have done him for incompetent. He was being incompetent.
I Googled him.
Uh-huh.
So I done my research, Googled him, found him from LinkedIn. I sent him an email. I even done some nasty stuff on his LinkedIn. But he's still there.
He still works for the council?
Still works for the council.
Okay.
Well, we should go there one day, stand outside with a microphone and tell him a few home truths. That's the way we got to behave, I'm afraid. We have to confront these people.
It's direct action. I mean, realistically, it's got to the point now where direct action is the only option whilst we do our campaigning. Part of our campaigning is direct action to highlight the incompetence of our elected officials and a loss of representatives, whether it's the chief executive of the council who's let us down, or whether it's councillors, we will go out to them.
Shall I send you some of my lovely emails? Because I have gone up that high to the chief exec, to the old chief exec, Paul, and now the new chief exec. And the replies we get back, we do have a laugh in our resident meeting.
And again, the chief executive is elected in or is brought in by the ruling council.
I know.
So if they're incompetent, the chief executive
people. Employing more incompetent people. It's very simple. You know, it's very simple. We are being let down locally by our councillors and also the local council, for the simple fact is that the council is not working with the people.
Correct.
And when we come to power, we will work for the people.
Always, always. And as Joe said, it's about divide and conquer. The fact is, when we started this, we started with Southall. Now we have Northolt with you, Nita, which is so important. We're going to bring in Acton. We're going to bring in Greenford, okay? You know, we just need one or two people from each area, you know, and it's going to go bigger and bigger and bigger because we're going to be united, not divided. Never, ever has there been a movement in Ealing of independent councillors united under one platform.
True. That is true.
And the success of us will be under one platform. You know, we've been working on, and we'll share with you, you know, drop us your email to Sophia and we'll share around. Yeah, we'll send you the rough draft of our manifesto, which is going to be added and enhanced. We're going to make that public. We're going to get people to comment on it. We're going to use digital and new media and social media to get people to vote on their chief concerns. You know, it's not for us to say, these are the top 10 priorities. You know, we want to know what the people's priorities are.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and I think really it's important, Leslie, when the restrictions are removed, that we actually get out there and speak to people on the street and engage with them, because there's a lot of frustration. We've certainly found that as Cash, going out and talking to people, that they are not happy with the local councillors. They feel failed by them. And there's a sense of frustration and apathy. But I think if we can show them there is a different way, that your voice will be heard, that your voice has meaning, it's not going to be dismissed and swept away under the carpet. Because judging by Facebook in particular, there's a lot of dissatisfaction, and it's tending to come from, I think, younger people, sort of 20s to 40s, with our local MP. But somehow that's got to translate to the ballot box. Because,
very much so.
Yeah, you know, and for people to accept that, you know, the fact that they are not acting in our interests, that they are complacent, that they appear to be full of self-interest, isn't, or doesn't have to be accepted as the norm. You know, there is a different way. You know, when you look at campaigns in history that have overturned injustice, Martin Luther King, for instance, you know, we do not have to accept what is going on. You know, there can be an uprising of people in a positive way to effect the kind of change that is going to improve our lives. You know, I look around Southall and I just think, you know, it's my hometown. I like living here, but I don't like seeing all the high-rise developments. I don't like the fact that there are areas that are very neglected. If I look at the road I live on, the pavement is all broken up, no sign of it ever being repaired. The road has been, well, basically cars park on the pavement because it is a route for lorries onto the industrial estates. I worry about the safety of my children walking to and from school at times. And I get frustrated because I've raised these issues time and time again with Peter Mason, because not only is the leader, but he is one of the representatives for the ward where I live, and nothing changes. And, you know, you've asked time and time again, what have you done for your ward? What have you achieved? I see nothing whatsoever. You know, he's been given long enough. As far as I'm concerned, it's time for change. Time to get representatives who are going to be principled people, who are going to stand up for their constituents, that are not just going to go with the flow in meetings and sit there doing nothing, earning their allowance. You know, people who are going to be critical friends of local council policies. And, you know, we will continue to be a thorn in the side of our representatives as they are at the moment, because they are paid to do a job and they've been elected to do a job and they're not doing it. And we have to call them out and hold them accountable. But at the same time, they will not change. What we have to ensure is that there are representatives on the council, new fresh councillors, Councillor Patel, Councillor Bangu.
And our top rule is, Angela, sorry to interrupt, our councillors must be educated.
In life or in general? Educated in life.
They must have some damn good experience.
That's
you
true.
Know, we don't want councillors who can't speak English. I've had some bad experiences in Southall.
Okay.
Sad though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether they can or can't speak English. I have to sort of defer to your experience, Joe. But I've been to the Norwood Green ward forums a few times, and And one of the councillors, I've never heard her speak in a meeting, not one word. I also had that experience when I was on the governing body of Greenfields Children's Centre. There was a councillor, never heard him speak in any meeting. And, you know, this sounds awful, but he was a bit like dead wood, just there to make up the numbers, but not actually there to, you know, ask questions, challenge decisions, nothing like that at all. And that's frustrating, because at the end of the day, they are failing the community. And this is what
has anybody been to a full council meeting?
I have.
Well, I think we should all go when all this COVID is open, because I went many years ago.
So,
and one Southall councillor finished speaking, and the Conservative gentleman got up, one of the councillors, and he said, "Could you kindly repeat that, please, in English?" So very ashamed.
just Joe, I was only because I was looking into some of the old minutes of meetings with the councillors and everything. You don't see the names of the people attended, but you see the minutes, and I think, what's really come out of them? Surely that is freedom of information. There are councillors. We should know who attends them and who doesn't. But all the names are all blanked out.
Top secret.
Oh, what for? Why are they there?
Yep.
Sorry.
And that's something
Were
else-
they there
that
though? That's a
also,
question
Lisa,
to
that's
ask.
something else we would do. Part of our manifesto is where we have to legally show things, we will show things. Where it's not a legal requirement, but we feel it's in the public interest to be transparent, we'll make sure it's transparent.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, no buts. You know, everything should be transparent.
I mean, people at the meeting on the 8th. Come on. How many words did Mr. Sharma say?
I don't know. I wasn't there because I don't
No, I
get
mean,
invited.
people who were there, how many words did Mr. Sharma say at the walkabout?
I think he just said hello to me, and that was it. So when we stood by where Barclay Group are digging up clearly a contaminated area, he just stood there quietly listening, I guess, but not engaging in the conversations with Peter Mason.
So why did he come? So why did he come?
Did anyone ever challenge him there? Did
No,
anyone
I know he gave a lift to Peter Mason afterwards. So did he just come to be his driver or his chauffeur?
But did anyone challenge him?
I always speak. I say what I feel like.
Okay, a
I was
bit like
speaking.
me. I would challenge someone.
I
like
was speaking to him, but you don't get the answers. That's the problem. That's the problem. Councillor Patel, they're there in person, but they're not there with mind. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but then my thing would be, if you're not going to contribute, what's the purpose of you being there?
That's my thought.
I would
exactly my
challenge them
thought.
there and then.
Do you know why he was there?
Often it's a
For
PR
PR
exercise for
stunt.
them.
Sorry, what was that?
That's why he was there, probably thinking he was getting
PR.
a picture taken.
Yeah, it's a PR exercise, and it's for them to say, "Oh, they've reacted to Cash's comments." That's all it is. But of course, we follow it up by saying, "Well, you're only there because of that. You haven't voluntarily been proactive. You've been reactive."
Yeah, or not. Well, they've not even come to us and say, right, we've been hearing your concerns. Let's meet with you. We've always gone to them and said, right, we need to have a meeting with you, as in Cash needs to have a meeting with the councillors. Now it should be the other way around.
It's going to be a lovely election.
It is going to be. Indeed.
I'm thinking about it already sitting here. How wonderful it's going to be.
When our rainbows and butterflies flying everywhere.
Yeah, I think with Peter Mason, he saw that as an opportunity for PR. As Leslie said, that, you know, he could say, I've met with Cash and I've listened to their concerns and I'm going to see if there's any compromise. Because he actually turned up with a young lady, and I don't know her designation, I would say something along the lines of PR or communications, because I recognised her from the Southall Broadway Ball, from the very last one, where we were there and the Guardian were present and they filmed us. And she sat next to another young lady and next to Mark Wiltshire, who is the Director of Safer Communities and Housing. And they both started taking photographs of Cash on their phones. And then, you know, very silly young lady, she was actually caught on camera, on film, on the Guardian film, pulling silly faces at her young female colleague.
Disgusting.
Yeah, but, you know, clearly, you know, the fact that she turned up with Peter Mason, you know, he was obviously vying for an angle for her, maybe to take photographs or to do some filming. You know, as far as I'm concerned, and, you know, I will say this time and time again, Peter Mason has done nothing. He's just kind of like tinkering around the edges of the problem. And, you know, the tinkering really is just verbose, you know, what's the word? Waffle, not actually taking action that is going to hold Berkeley Group to account. And you can just see from Ashley Kensington's letter that she feels that she is in the driving seat and that she dictates to the council what they should do regarding air quality monitoring. And we have a very weak council, won't stand up to the property developer. And that brings me back to what Joe said, it's all about the money. You know, how is it that we have new residents living in Southall actually on the site who are suffering in the same way as us residents who've been here for years? You know, it's just an absolute disgrace. And, you know, we will keep on fighting because we're not going to forget the residents who have died. That doesn't seem to make any difference to the councillors. They seem to have hearts of stone. None of them seem to have a moral backbone to stand up to the Labour Party, even if it means that they are dismissed from the party. They don't seem to have a conscience and do the right thing and actually stand with us. You know, I don't know what else to say about them. There was one I used to work with at the college, and she is an utter disappointment. And she is also in the cabinet now. And I hope really that all the prospective councillors here will shake up the apathy and shake people up and make them realise you do not have to keep voting for people who are in it because it is a gravy train for them. We have a lot of elderly councillors, and I've got nothing against elderly people. I hope to be one myself one day. But really, it's a top up for their pension because they probably just sit there in council meetings and will just vote with everybody else. You know, they probably don't turn up to many surgeries. You know, they don't do a lot to earn their allowance. And they are absolutely failing the young and upcoming people, you know, the next generation who aren't going to be able to afford, you know, nearly 400,000 for a flat in a high rise. You know, they really are upholding the position of the rich property developers. And it's absolutely shocking. Somebody said, I'm disappointed in the socialists. And I said, they're not socialists. They are just in it for themselves, completely selfish and self-serving. I know not all of them. I know there is, you know, one or two exceptions. But, you know, it's an eye-opener for me because I always thought that Labour was the party of the working class. I would say that is not the case locally.
Maybe 50 years ago, not anymore.
Well, Tony Blair proved that, didn't he? It's only there for the money. They're only there for the money. Well, Tony Blair, look what he did. He took us to, he lied to us about a war, killing millions of people. So what does that tell us? Lies and deceit. That's what I keep saying. That's what we're getting from our politicians today. Lies and deceit. We deserve better.
I think when we do our manifesto, I think we should have certain amount of surgery, certain amount of things that candidates should do to earn their respect as a candidate, not just doing what these councillors do at the moment, just turn up and, you know, not contribute, not do anything. They should have X amount of things that they should resolve in a month, or, you know, targets, a little bit like how the private sector works. You know, you have your set targets, you set your goals, and that's what you work towards, your targets.
Totally agree. There should be, if someone contacts you as a councillor, you have to respond within 24 hours or 48, whatever it is, on that. You have to provide it's a service level agreement. An SLA.
Similar.
You know, I would like to see an SLA implemented across the whole of the council, across all the services, whether it's refuse collection, whether it's highways. We need the SLAs.
That. Hold on. They do. Ealing do have a service level agreement with all these contracts.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going back 25 years ago when we had that in place, and there was fines that were placed on these people or these contractors. I don't know whether that's still the case. I know that if a hedge or a pathway wasn't cut by these contractors, they were fined £25. Right. For non-compliance. I mean, I don't know whether that's happening now.
We don't see any of that. There's no transparency. There's no, like, you know, recently Ealing brought in the refuse collection back in-house.
Yes.
But again, there's been no benefit there because it's being managed by the same people who outsourced it, who didn't care.
But you know why that happens, don't you? I've been at that end of putting tender documents together, and it's the backhanders that these. I mean, I was working for DLO. I was in grounds maintenance, and they chunked out a load of our grounds maintenance people and bought in another company. And next thing you know is that the head of grounds maintenance at Ealing Town Hall had a 4x4. And we heard about it at the depot, and we were appalled. How could they sign off and get rid of their own staff to get this backhander?
Corruption.
Yeah. So I've dealt with that side. There's a lot of corruption there, and it's always been there at Ealing.
I hope you're listening, Peter Mason. This is what I was trying to explain to you last month, that there's a lot of corruption in Ealing Council.
Is Peter there?
No, I'm just giving him a message. He's probably going to watch into this or listen to this, because I was discussing this last month. We were talking about it, and I speak to a lot of people, and especially now, a lot of people ring us with information. Can you hear me, Councillor Patel?
I can hear you.
A lot of people ring us now with information about who's building the hotel, where in India.
Oh, yes.
Oh, we got some serious information.
Very
serious.
I'd love to.
So keep building the hotel.
Yeah.
It's one of our politicians.
I want to know, is that hotel, when the corruption is found, is that hotel going to come back into this country?
Well, we will be asking the right questions. Don't you worry.
Okay.
We always do. You see, we always do.
Yeah, I've worked with councils too long. 8 years was too long for me.
No, that's good experience. You have good experience, Councillor Patel.
Between Ealing and Brent, I think I had my I thought about it and I thought it's not right. I couldn't work there because of it.
Well, Councillor Patel, I can tell you, I received a lovely phone call last week. I will give no names. £40,000 for planning permission. in £50 notes?
Really? For who?
Think about what I just said.
40,000. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Corruption is ripe in Ealing Council.
Yeah, it is. And there's a lot of it.
It's ripe in Ealing Council.
Always.
Leslie, when we're in power, I hope these people realize that we will go taking the dust off the files and re-examining the files
Totally.
and calling in
Everything
the police,
we will
putting
have
people away.
we will
putting
get
people
forensic
away.
accountants in. There are accountants called forensic accountants who will come in, go through it, and we will hold to account everybody who's done anything to make people's lives really horrible. And it's true.
Can I add to that long list, because I know lots of them?
Well, you're going to be in charge, Councillor Patel.
No, I know lots of them. I've seen what they do. I've been at the centre of it, and that's why they had to have a quick exit for me.
Don't worry, Councillor Patel, you'll be back in there. Don't worry.
No.
There's a lot of files. There's a lot of files waiting there for you.
Listen, I've dealt with those files. I've seen them. I've done the DLO side of invoicing. So I know where the money goes and I know how we claim for it.
The local councillors are for a few, not for the majority. They're not the councillors for the majority. And we will be representing the majority.
Yeah.
Inshallah, inshallah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
But this is how they've been getting away with it.
Not
But
anymore.
did you just out of interest, in the last election, I read up quite a lot of independent people that were up for nomination. Part of me was very scared to vote for them because I felt that the wrong party would get in. So how does this group envisage people's fears in that?
Oh, that's a really, really good question, Nita. Thank you. Effectively, because we will be going under a independent manifesto, those are the values that we will have. They'll be totally transparent. They aren't about individual values. It's about group values.
Okay.
And we will hold to account anybody who wants to be a candidate for Ealing Independence. You know, you have to share our values. We will, of course, do due diligence on people, which means if someone wants to become a candidate, we will check them out on social media. We will make sure they haven't been, you know, corrupted before. We'll make sure they haven't been racist. They haven't been anything like that. So that's very important to us. But I think because it's a power of a group of people, the people will basically effectively manage each other. You know, I would hope everyone has the same shared values. I mean, in the past, when there's been independent candidates as opposed to independent parties in Ealing, they've been individuals who have a vested interest in something. With us, our vested interest is we want to see the whole council replaced with independent people. We're anti the parties that are currently governing. We're very pro people. We're pro local business. We love our local businesses. We want our businesses to thrive. We will have views on, naturally people will ask us, what are your views on low traffic neighborhoods? Again, that's something we'll have to discuss amongst the people. So 90% of what we have is based on local views. 10% of probably what we have will be based on national things, because national politics, unfortunately, will sometimes impact local politics. But we're trying to keep everything to a local level.
Actually, what the America did when there was, you know, this, you know, Black Lives Movement. Yeah. They brought change to the political life over there. And I think if what you are saying is right, and all the problems you are saying is on the ground, I think it may work for the majority. You know, the more majority of the people. Yeah.
Totally, Yusuf. I mean,
And
the fact is,
we have to mean at this time the people of color. You know, people of all from whatever background in Southall, we need to target, and even if we can change for an independent party, not independent individuals, I think that will be, you know, a milestone.
Definitely. I mean, it's about voting not for individuals, but for a party that represents the whole of the Ealing community.
Yes, yes.
Represent everyone, whether you live in Acton or whether you live in Southall. It's about you have empathy towards making sure Ealing is united amongst everybody.
Yes, exactly.
And it doesn't matter if you're very, very poor or very, very rich.
No.
You'll all be treated the same. Because what's happening in Ealing at the moment, as we know, the council are affecting everybody in a bad way, you know, and treating everybody badly.
And Leslie, if I can share a little experience I had, it's very good. It's not only the service level we are serving, it's also the political side. Last year, there was a young boy practicing solicitor. He did his degree, but he's soliciting with the law center. Ealing Law Center is working there at the moment he's doing his practical things then to finish up. So because of the queries he get when he was there from especially the Somali community, the graphic problems and needs which was coming to his service, he wanted to contest. Then he approached Labour. They said there's no chance. Then he approached Conservative. Then he succeeded with Conservative to get to get the paper. Then he contested in golf links. So we were up and running with him. And then even one of the forums meeting, Joe joined us there with so many residents there one night during the campaign trail. Now what we found out was, you know, these councillors, they got guarantee that, you know, everybody who contests is between Liberal Democrat, Tory, or Labour. And now in these areas, you cannot say anything about outside Labour. It's very difficult in Southall to sell somebody outside, you know, Labour. And Labour, they will give nomination to everyone. So when we tried during the campaign, many people say, "Oh, we'll vote, you know, why you didn't go for Labour?" Then explain, you know, wanted to be Labour, but unfortunately we didn't get the nomination papers from them. Then we thought, okay, we'll take it. Explain, this is young man, he's born in England, he knows English, he knows Somali, he can, this is the man to realize he's a solicitor. The problem is not, he's not looking for a job anyway. He found your problem within his doorsteps where he works. We explain it. They say yes. Then on the election day, we in the morning, there was 2 outlets where you can come in and vote. Now, that side was one group. This side was one group. We were trying to figure out how they're doing. Then what we found out was, you know, when most people, they know that they say they voted for Labour anyway, majority, but he got a good number. He scored high because he scored high that time. He only missed by mayor, but he did very well. But he didn't win to be a councillor, but he did all the best. But what we found, all our effort was that. But we were not able to convince anyone. We did some. All people, some we got a good number would say, "Oh, I didn't come any black people." In Southall, in government, they say we never saw any people coming through our door saying a black person saying, "Vote for me." So we'll vote for me. In that sense, we scored. Some people who voted, but especially the Somali community say that I will always vote for Labour. I'm not going to vote any other party. We also found that hardcore, which is, you know, the ideology part of it, you know, this thing when we are doing. So we are talking about the challenges we are going to be up to when we embark on this thing. That is the challenge. That's the way to convince people to vote for independent party.
Yep.
You will ask us, you will have to explain the way this they say, not individual person, but now it's like a party.
Yeah.
So it's a hard bargain that we need to say to the community.
Yep. And exactly, Yusuf. And the fact is, what we're trying to do, it's not just about 2022 election, it's about the next one after that.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to set the foundation today. And we are setting the foundation today. And we want to get, you know, wonderful people from all the communities, you know, young Somalis, we want young Somalis to also stand up, you know, for their community, because
This one was
Labour
very
doesn't
young.
help them.
This boy was very young.
Yeah.
Very, very young, talented. But anyway, he tried. We'll see. We'll see. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Everything we have to try. Nothing, you know.
Definitely.
Exactly.
You can't give up.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. And the important thing is, this is new and we can't give up. We got to try everything. But most of all, we have to do it in a sense of unity, in a sense of
Yeah.
comradeship, and in a sense of, also importantly, fun. Fun is so important, you know, because when you have fun, you have the passion. And that's what we want to do. We will make Ealing better for everyone.
Okay, lovely.
Joe, I'm conscious of the time. Are we going to close the meeting?
Yes.
I'm going to pray as well. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
And hopefully we see you again on the 20th. I mean, Sufyan was saying something to me earlier today. Sufyan, do you want to add to that or not?
Yeah, so what I was suggesting is, because obviously we normally have the meetings on the 20th, and the 20th obviously this month fell on a Sunday. So what I was suggesting is, if we have our meetings on, like, say, the 4th Friday or the 4th Thursday of every month, because obviously Councillor Mason will say obviously he observes Shabbat, and obviously he can't attend meetings then. So if we make it a Thursday, he's got no excuse really.
Hey, and also, I don't have an excuse being Jewish either.
I'm
flexible
myself, so anytime.
Yeah, thank you. That's right, yeah. So Thursdays are good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, if we say Thursday then.
Thursday.
So the 4th Thursday of next month, I'll tell you.
Okay, lovely. See you again. Thank you very much.
Okay.
It'll be the 22nd.
Okay, 22nd.
Yeah, I'll jot that down.
Okay, so 22nd of July.
Yep.
July, yeah.
Okay. And you'll send out the invite, or do we have to go through Eventbrite?
Yeah, so we'll circulate the links online as we did, and then I'm guessing you'll register again
on Eventbrite. Yeah, we'll do it on Eventbrite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Thank
once
you,
again,
MP Joe.
Councillor Patel,
Yeah,
once again,
Patel.
we've learned something. We've improved our knowledge by sharing conversation, you know, and this is what this is all about.
And if anyone wants to come and attend our meeting that we're holding in someone's back garden, just let me know. I've put my email address on for everyone, so you're more than welcome to attend that meeting, as well as the meeting that we've got on the 12th of July with HS2.
And we can also share that through our social media. So, you know, the main thing is, out of Southall comes some very amazing things. You know, Southall is the kind of epicenter of this whole movement across Ealing. You know, the fact is now through Southall we can help Northolt. Through Southall we can help Acton. So yes, and issues affecting Southall affect other places. Issues affecting you in Northolt affect other places. We can no longer be, you know, in our own little box.
Yeah, let's be united.
Yeah.
Actually, before we go, Nita, does your organisation have a name? I mean,
no, all we're calling ourselves is the Car Road Resident Association, but
That's
only
good.
because it was everyone on Car Road.
That's
but
fine.
now
That's great.
Now I've found out that Babnington Close are also having the same problem. So HS2 want to merge us with Babnington Close, because as you all know, whoever's been following HS2, they've forgotten Ealing. Ealing don't attend any of the meetings. They don't want to know. They're not participants. Only Kilburn gets a mention on their website. Mandeville Road or Acton doesn't get a mention at all.
Yeah, that has to change.
Through our group, we've now asked them for a 7-week breakdown of works that they're going to be carrying out throughout the weekends. So we're working hard towards that for them to give us that information.
So, Councillor Patel, if I could give you an idea, perhaps you should call yourself Northolt Independent or
Yeah.
the Independence Northolt Party.
The Nick.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The Nick. Northolt
There
Independent.
you go, Leslie.
Yeah, I know we're growing.
Oh,
You got
that's-
Southall Independence, you got Northolt Independence,
yeah.
you got Ealing Independence.
Independence. And it's all under one umbrella.
Beautiful.
Actually, what we need to call it, we have all these subgroups of independent Southall, independent Northolt, but we should be called something bigger in the Ealing umbrella. So probably use an umbrella
Yeah.
as an
I
Ealing
mean,
umbrella, because
yeah,
then it's all the parts that come off that umbrella.
Totally. I mean, we started off as Ealing Independence, representing all these different areas, but now the process is thinking maybe we need an umbrella name. So that's, but this all starts from dialogue, you know, starting a political party. None of us have ever done it before, you know, and we're learning all the time. And that's why it's important to have all these associations with different people so that we can put together the ideas and, more importantly, make the ideas happen. Because what we're doing, you know, we're not just talking about it, we're actually doing it.
Another thing before everyone goes, if you're looking to expand this, probably what we need to do through our social media is to try and have an email address where people could email us, because that's what I've done for the residents here, is created an email address, and I've given access to Graham, my neighbour. But probably, you know, if we're really looking to go forward with this in a big way, we need to act as a business.
Totally agree.
And we need to have the names in place. We need to have the emails. We need to have the Twitter accounts. We need to do all of that now.
Yeah. Well, at the moment, Nita, if you go to ealingindependence.com, go to the website, have a read through it. Okay, it's got all the links you can think of there at the moment. And then we can have a separate conversation offline between all of us again, and then kind of start formulating all the plans.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nita.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That's so great.
Thank you.
Okay, Joe, are
Thank
we
you.
closing? I think it's been a brilliant meeting. So look forward to seeing everybody on the 22nd of July.
You too.
Thank you.